Hello and welcome from Babcook Field here in Washington, Illinois. It is one of the oldest rivalries in the area between the Metamora Redbirds and the Washington Panthers. When you think of high school football in Illinois, there's a good chance you think of both of these teams. The two towns are separated by less than 10 miles, and both want nothing more than to add to another tally to the long-standing rivalry. It's only week 3 of the high school football season, but currently Babcook Field is nothing short of a playoff atmosphere under the sun in America's heartland. Hello and welcome into tonight's broadcast. I'm Jonathan Michael. Alongside me is Gavin Russell. And Gavin, we're seeing the Washington Panthers take the field now. They've got to be pumped up for the 64th edition of this rivalry.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can hear in the background the band is playing, the fans are on their feet going crazy, and the team takes the field. I mean, this is just an incredible atmosphere. Both stands absolutely packed. There's not an open seat in the house. Every seat is taken. It's just gonna be such a fun atmosphere tonight, John. I'm really looking forward to this game.
Definitely, and you know, Gavin, both of these teams, it doesn't matter what sport they play, there is always going to be packed stands. We saw here about even 2-3 hours ago, these stands were packed, hardly any room. This is going to be a very, very loud game here at Babcook Field tonight.
Yeah, the community support for both these teams is incredible, and then as Metamora takes the field, their student section's fired up. I mean, you can just see the sea of white over there in the Metamora student section. Of course, the Washington student section is also very fired up. But again, great community support. The Frosh game, there was tons of people out here. I mean, just an electric atmosphere. Nothing can rival this.
Definitely, Gavin. And you talk about Metamora. They are 1-1 on the season so far. A loss to Peoria High and a win over LaSalle Peru last week. They're looking to find a little consistency in order to keep pace in the Mid-Illini.
Yeah, I got to talk with Jared Grebner earlier this week, and we'll talk about that more throughout the broadcast. But just kind of said consistency is the name of the game. Had their defensive struggles against a very, very good Peoria High team in week 1. That's no surprise. Peoria High, state-ranked program. Got to find their footing there on defense a little bit. And then last week, they played well defensively, but on offense, they kind of stalled out on some drives, only scoring 16 points. So Jared Grebner would like to see his team kind of find a middle ground there, find a little consistency and play a complete game.
Sure thing, Gavin. And for Washington, well, the Panthers look a little different this year. They lost over 20 seniors last year. A lot of them were starters. And the Panthers come into this contest 0-2, Gavin, but both of their games have came against teams that are ranked very high in the AP state rankings.
Well, if you're just getting into following Central Illinois football this year, you might be a little surprised to hear Washington 0-2, but again, they have had a meat grinder of a schedule early on in the year. They faced Metamora here in week 3, so it doesn't get any easier, but back on the home field, they've had a couple of weeks, face some stiff competition. They're going to start finding their footing. I think this is an opportunity for them to get some good confidence and momentum and take a W on the home field.
See, the Panthers are being introduced right now, the offensive side of the football. Taking a look at tonight's forecast here at Babcook Field. Kickoff temperature is about 74 degrees. Slight wind out of the south. It is a perfect night for football, Gavin. You could not paint many better pictures than this. I know we talked about it last week when we were in Mackinac for Tri-Valley and DMAC, but this is truly one of the best atmospheres you can be in. A great night for football. Week 3, a little bit earlier than these two teams are accustomed to meeting.
Yeah, this is a great atmosphere as we've been talking about, and we'll just continue to talk about it. There's nothing else like it. And, you know, weather very favorable tonight, not too windy. All the flags out there near the scoreboard blowing just a little bit, so it shouldn't have too big of an effect on the game. But just week 3, but it is hot competition tonight. Both of these teams are looking to come out with a big W, a rivalry matchup unlike any other in Central Illinois.
Taking a look at tonight's keys to the game, Gavin. For Metamora, no flag zone. They don't want to cut down on the penalties. And also, we mentioned earlier, be consistent.
Yeah, they're going to want to keep those flags down. That's something they struggled with the first couple weeks of the season. And then consistency. Again, Jared Grebner really highlighted that, so that's obviously something that they want to do. Jump start for Washington, you know, they haven't had a lot going. They haven't had a lot going on offense, so they want to continue that. And then also, you want to have a short memory because the first 2 weeks, not really good for the Panthers. They want to put the first couple weeks behind them and get going here in week 3.
Just moments away from kickoff here. Glad you're with us here on Clutch Sports Media. The 64th edition of Redbirds and Panthers coming your way. Metamora will receive the opening kick.
At this time, let's meet the officials for tonight's contest. Your referee is Tim Brownlee.
And
The umpire
Gavin,
is
the
John Hall.
Metamora offense, we're seeing a little bit, a lot of position changes. They struggled a little bit offensively last week with their consistency. Whoever has the first score is going to have a major advantage tonight.
Both of these teams are deep, but it's going to be which starters come in handy. Metamora would look to have the upper hand on paper, but can they find that consistency? They'll get the ball first. That's something they're coming off a week. They didn't do a whole lot on offense, so can the first drive be successful, or will Washington defend the home turf on the opening drive?
Mitch Coughlin gets ready to kick it away for the Panthers, and we are rolling here in Washington. Deep kick received at about the 3-yard line. Metamora looking to find a seam up to the 20. Actually just short of that. That was Noah Karras, the senior wide receiver, running it out. Pretty good kick coverage there from the Panthers to start this game out.
Decent little kick return, but a nice job by Washington. And again, both these teams very deep. There's no shortage of depth. Again, the community support is great. From the Frosh teams all the way to varsity, all the teams are going to have plenty of depth at every position. That's something that not a lot of high schools can say anymore is participation and thing decreases. Both of these programs have held very steady with their participation and should have some good depth up and down the roster.
Many state championships between these two teams as we get a whistle here before the first snap of the game. So the referee and the line judge talking it over. Don't see any flags on the field. Could be an issue with the spot. Even the umpires and referees can get a little rusty sometimes. As they'll move it over to the near hash, right above the Washington W, one of their two logos. And Kaden Hartnett, Metamora's QB, in the shotgun to take the first snap. Play action pass, and it's just behind his receiver. Looked like he was looking for Broderick Shares right there. Good blanket coverage there from the Panthers.
You're going to see, again, a lot of new faces on this Washington team, both offensively and defensively. Brayson Barth there on the coverage, just a junior, so one of those new starters for the Panthers. Some nice early coverage right there, but Metamora coming out first play with the throw, so they're going to stay aggressive, try to knock off some of that inconsistency they had last week.
In the backfield for Metamora is their running back Cam Davis alongside Hartnett. Gets the handoff and has a seam, and that is until he runs into Jace Harlan. Big tackle there for the Panthers, stopping Davis after a very short gain.
Another junior stepping up right there. Jace Harlan, a nice solid tackle. Fundamentals are going to be key in this game. Got to limit the yards where possible.
2, 3rd and 8.
Go ahead, John.
I was just going to say it's 3rd and 8 for Metamora. Anyway, Gavin, I'm sorry for interrupting you. Go ahead.
No. Cam Davis is definitely going to be a big part to this game. I would expect him to take some early carries, but already got a flag and mentioned keeping the laundry off the field, but here's an early flag.
See what this call is. Looks like Hartnett and the Redbirds will be walking back 5. That will make it 3rd and 13. Substitution for the Panthers. That's Noah Bell Lawrenson checking into the game. And Eric Doherty will take a breather.
We'll make it 3rd and 13.
Important play here for the Panthers. They need to get an early start. They want to keep this one close. Play action for Hartnett. Rolls out to his left. Looking for his tight end, and he's got it. That's Dalton Shuda up just across the 40, and a big gain as the Birds Nest student section goes wild.
Shuda's going to be a big target for the Redbirds. Probably one of the best, if not the best, tight end in the Mid-Illini Conference. Great pass catcher, great blocker. Coach Grebner was telling me he's one of their more vocal leaders on this team. He definitely brings a lot of energy, but showing off his ability right there on the field.
First and 10 now for the Redbirds after the big pass to the tight end. Play action again. Hartnett being chased. He's going to see what he can do with his legs. He's going to get across midfield and a first down to about the 43-yard line. Run of 12 there on the QB keeper.
But I think this is going to be coming back. A crucial mistake right there. Looked like a late hold there. Didn't really need to tug on the jersey, but that was right in front of the official. Should be coming backwards. Negates a big scramble right there for Hartnett.
That was one of our keys to the game, Gavin, was penalties. And last week, the Redbirds had a lot of them against LaSalle Peru. There were 24 penalties combined in that game. Some snaps in that game. There were flags on 3 to 4 consecutive plays at times. So Redbirds will need to keep the laundry off the field if they want to keep momentum, which is so big in these rivalry games.
Certainly is, and that's 2 penalties already on this drive. So definitely not trending in the right directions. Got to just be disciplined. Got to make smart plays. Again, a little unnecessary there for the hold. He had more than enough for the first down. Got to clean it up.
They'll make it a 1st and 4. Not often you see that. Hartnett hands off to Davis, and he's got a big hole. He makes a man miss, and he's across the 30. Davis only has one man to beat, and he's upended at the 20. How about that hit in the secondary? Looked like Davis could have been gone for the score. I think that was Tyler Brown, the junior, with the tackle there. He almost flipped Davis.
Yeah, but what a run there by Davis. I mean, he flew up the middle right there. Nice big hole created by the Redbird offensive line. Made a nice cut right there. Made a couple of defenders miss. Cam Davis is very dynamic. I think maybe a little bit overlooked at times, but he's going to come in and continue to show why he is the Redbirds' #1 running back and one of their most versatile playmakers.
Metamora, despite the penalties, putting together a good drive. Just under 10 minutes to go here in the first. Hartnett will keep this one on the fake to Davis. Not much doing there, just a gain of a yard. Hartnett, the Metamora quarterback, you might have remembered him as a wide receiver last year. He was an all-conference selection, caught 24 balls for Metamora, 479 yards and 4 touchdowns. Really impressed me, really athletic at receiver last year when we saw him, Gavin, and he's back kind of sort of almost to a familiar spot from a few years ago.
Yeah, he played freshman and sophomore year down on their Frosh and JV teams as a quarterback. Grebner did say he is probably more natural as a wide receiver, but has experience in that position and definitely can make some things happen in the QB role.
2nd and 8 for the Redbirds. Man in motion, and Hartnett gets it out. He's got a man open. That will be 6 for the Birds. Noah Karras, the senior receiver. And the Redbirds strike first. A nice screen there to the near side, freed him up, and he had nobody to beat.
Well, this is much like their start last week. Metamora scored early on, got pretty much all of their points within the first few drives, and then kind of went cold. So a good way to start. You like where you are if you're Metamora, but you definitely don't want to settle there, and it looks like they're going to go for 2. They really want to start to put some real momentum onto this game being on the road. Let's see if they can get 2 more.
Hartnett will take the snap from the shotgun. Davis in his backfield. Fakes the handoff to him. Hartnett up the middle. He's going to be very close, and it is good. Tack on 2 more for the Redbirds, and they lead 8-0 here in a very impressive scoring drive.
Nice drive right there. They had a few penalties. Thought it may have set them back, but some big plays really let them out there as Cam Davis on the big run got them all the way up near the red zone. Definitely was the big game changer of that drive. And then, of course, just a little screen pass at all it takes. Nice blocking, nice reception, and a touchdown. Nothing easier than that.
Great scoring drive for the Redbirds. We mentioned it was going to be really crucial for whichever team was going to score first. They have the momentum, and now that puts the onus on Washington to respond. They'll get ready to receive, and Gavin, the big story for Washington is who will be their quarterback. Jake Stewart listed as the starter, but first, Look at the off-string scoring drive for the Redbirds. 8 plays, 82 yards. Only took them a little over 3 minutes on the clock. Very good start to the game for Metamora, looking to advance to 2-1 on the season.
Yeah, definitely a nice drive, but as you were mentioning about the quarterback situation, Preston Nelson transferring down from Wisconsin, very highly rated, the junior, so maybe not quite as experienced as Jake Stewart. Of course, Jake Stewart's been around the block here in Washington, but two talented quarterbacks that just need to kind of find their footing along with the rest of the Washington team.
Back deep to return for the Panthers is Ben Eckstein, Jake Stewart and maybe McQuarrie, as this one is fumbled, picked up at the 19 and taken across the 30. That was Jackson Godinez on the return there, one of the up men. Panthers had a little bit of trouble corralling that football, but Gavin, it looks like it will be Jake Stewart taking the first snaps of the game for Washington. He's been the starter of the first 2 games of the season. We'll see how he fares tonight against a defense that is not part of a team that's state ranked.
Yeah, that's been really tough for Jake Stewart. Again, he's played plenty as a backup. Definitely has the potential there. It's just that in-game experience, right? That's something that every player needs and very crucial at quarterback. We'll see what he can do here. Definitely a lot riding on it. We'll see if he kick the adrenaline and make a big play.
Stewart takes a snap under center. Handoff up the middle. There's a pile of bodies. About a mid-sized gain there. Looks like that was Jace Harlan, the slightly bigger of 2 Washington Panthers in the backfield.
Yeah, definitely a couple of big Panthers back there, but again, a little bit inexperienced. Harlan and McQuarrie definitely have a lot of potential. Both are juniors, so there's definitely something for that. They'll get a lot of game experience this year. They'll be back next year. Again, Washington's building something up as they're kind of insert their new generation.
Certainly something to see is how the Panthers newcomers will fare. Stewart tosses it to the outside. Looks like that's McQuarrie. He's got space. He's across the 50 to the 48. First down for the Panthers, and they come right back.
Harlan didn't carry the ball there, but made a really, really nice block right there to open up the hole for McQuarrie. You need those big plays, and again, positive yardage is always going to be a good thing. Not even talking about maybe getting flags, but you just got to keep the ball moving forward. So first play from scrimmage, got about 4 or 5 yards. Then you break off a big play right there. It's all about having some consistency, and it looks like Washington may be starting to find their footing.
Certainly a big thing for the Panthers will be their offense. They were held to 10 points against Highland in week 1 and were shut out against Kankakee last week. So McQuarrie up the gut, little stutter step across the 45. He picks up about 3.
So far what I've seen from McQuarrie is I really like his skill set and the way he plays. He's definitely strong enough to be a back, but definitely has that very quick athleticism. Kind of made a cut right there. He very easily could have been stopped at the line of scrimmage, but was able to make a very quick cut, get a couple of yards, and that's what it's all about. Keep moving forward, keep getting some positive yardage.
2nd and 7 upcoming for the Panthers. Stewart again taking the snap from under center. Harlan, the up man in the backfield. Will Stewart get to him in the flat? He evades a sack, evades 2 sacks, and he will scramble forward. Got about back to the line of scrimmage. How about Jake Stewart there showing off the wheels, making something out of nothing and avoiding the TFL?
Yeah, that would have been a big sack right there, and boy, busted through the offensive line right there. I think it was a bit of a play action, so Metamora read that one really nicely, but Stewart showing off the wheels right there and turning it into something at least. We'll see if on 3rd down Washington can kind of find their footing after a couple of stale plays.
Stewart draws the receivers in. That is Tyler Brown and Seth Carbaugh, junior and senior respectively. 8 starting juniors on this Panthers offense, and here's an open Panther down the sideline. This will be another first down. Looks like that one went to A.J. Jones. He's not listed on the rosters. Went off what the PA announcer said there. How about that? First down for Washington. and they are all of a sudden moving in the right direction.
Sure are. Nice play right there from A.J. Jones. Coming up from the Frosch team, actually. So, again, inserting a lot of new players into this program.
Jones, the man in motion, handoff to, it looks like McQuarrie, and he is met in the backfield. That'll be a small loss there. Big play for the Metamora defensive line, which returns a lot of experience, Gavin.
They sure do. And, you know, I think everybody looks at maybe Ben Wallace playing up there, but they got 4 big guys up there, and you just take a look at them. It's a pretty imposing defensive line, one that ball carriers and quarterbacks are definitely going to fear throughout the season. Tyler Kasip, 6'2", 200 pounds, definitely brings a lot to that defensive line, but again, a very deep line. They've got plenty of guys to rotate in and out and a lot of senior experience. Definitely a driving force behind the defense.
3 seniors on the D-line as Stewart looks to go deep. Will Allen is picked off just inside the 10. For the Redbirds, it looks like that might have been Gavin O'Laughlin. How about the pick there? Kind of was lurking at about the 10, came up and made a great leap on the ball for the huge takeaway there.
Tried to take a big shot right there, and I thought he may have had an opportunity, but just underthrew him a little bit there. You got to admire the aggressiveness, but nice job there from the defensive backs. And, you know, Washington had a couple of big plays, but not quite enough as they only got just up past midfield. Metamora with a nice first defensive possession. They got a long way to go, but definitely the momentum on the side of the Redbirds right now.
After a pretty good drive for Washington, Metamora will take over inside their own 10. Flag flies, handoff to Davis. He goes airborne just across the 15 to the 16. This is another flag for Metamora, Gavin. They could be in for a stern talking to from head coach Jared Grebner in the halftime locker room.
Yeah, 3 penalties and as many drives as they had just the first couple drives. And again, it's setting them back already. Looks like an illegal shift there by the Redbirds. So again, everybody's got to be on the same page, all 11 on the field. Again, discipline is very big. Didn't hurt them so much on the last drive, but you got to think the more penalties you start racking up, that's not going to go well for you to be able to get some points.
That penalty will be half the distance to the goal. It'll be first and, it says 15 on the scoreboard, but half of 9 is 4.5. So we'll say first and 14.5, Gavin, for the Redbirds. 3 wide receivers backed up against their own end zone. Well, they hand off to Davis. They will throw. Hartnett looking on the middle, shoot had it in his hands, and he dropped it at the 20. Could have been a first down if he could have held on, but a little bit too much heat on that ball from Hartnett.
Yeah, that wasn't the easiest pass to catch right there, but certainly there was opportunity for him to grab it. Looked like he may have been brought down right there at the first down marker, but now we're at 2nd and long, backed up near the end zone. This would be a really good time for maybe a Washington sack or a tackle for loss. Got to think maybe they'll try to kick the aggressiveness up with the D-line and linebackers on this play.
Not much breathing room for Metamora, who leads 8-0 past the halfway point of the first quarter. Hartnett will hand off to his backfield. That will be Davis, I believe, on the carry. Short gain there, but hey, at least he didn't go backwards.
Did not go backwards, and again, nice job there. Washington kind of reading that one, not allowing them to get back to anywhere close to the first down marker. Metamora got a few positive yards, but now it's going to take a lot here on 3rd down. Again, backed up near the end zone. You don't want to take too big of a risk, possibly risk a sack or a tackle for loss. Just got to keep moving the ball forward.
Big play here for the Panthers defense, who would certainly like to extinguish the Metamora drive and maybe get the ball back in good field position. It's a new look defense for the Panthers. We'll see what they bring on 3rd down. Hartnett in trouble. He could be brought down, and he gets rid of it. No flags on the play. Intentional grounding could have been called there. Looks like there is there is a flag on the play. And this could be a safety, Gavin, since he threw it in the end zone and there was no receiver in the area. We will await the call, but how about that? Washington may have just came up with a huge play on third down.
Awaiting the call, and it's going to be a safety, John. 2 points right there for Washington, and they knife back into this lead with a big play right there. What did I tell you? They needed to kick the aggressiveness up right there on the D line, and boy, about had him for the sack, but forced the intentional grounding, and that'll do it too. Get 2 points and get the ball back.
Gavin, that is the first safety I've seen in a high school game in quite some time. How about that for Washington? Not maybe the momentum booster that you would expect, but one that was much needed. And they will receive the ball here after the punt for Metamora. They can take the lead. But credit Washington's defense. They were swarming Hartnett. He was in the corner by the pylon, didn't have much room to work with.
Yeah, gotta give some credit there to Malik McHarren. He came flying off the near edge. I thought he may have been held a little bit too. It looked like maybe a little bit of a tug on the shoulder pad, but he came flying around and was kind of the primary pass rusher right there. Really got on top of it, forced him into the corner of the end zone, and again, forcing that intentional grounding. I think that was probably the best possible outcome right there if you're Washington. Pick up 2 and again, get the ball back. Big momentum shift.
Washington head coach Daryl Crouch, that's probably about the best case scenario he was hoping for there, other than possibly a pick 6, but the Redbirds will kick this away on the safety kick.
8-2, looking like a basketball score right now.
And we've seen these two teams quite frequently on the basketball court too. One of those times, Washington's quarterback Jake Stewart drilled a game-winning 3 with just a second or 2 left to beat the Redbirds. He knows how to perform well in the rivalry, and that kick will go out of bounds. So a couple of miscues for Metamora, and it seems like all that momentum they had in that opening drive is now out the window.
Yeah, they may need to do a few washer loads tonight, John, with all the laundry they're leaving on the field. They have plenty of flags so far, and again, I think Jared Grebner's probably going to be focusing on that in the halftime locker room amongst anything else, far above it rather. Washington now with a lot of momentum on the home field. Again, the massive student section is fired up. Keep an eye out on social media. There's probably going to be some pics and videos coming your way of the student sections, but home crowd is into it. Washington is feeling good. Can they continue to capitalize on riding this momentum?
They'll start with pretty good field position at the 40-yard line, so a shorter field for Jake Stewart and the Panthers.
45-yard line.
Excuse me, the ball will be at the 45. Other than the 40, Gavin, I think head coach Daryl Crouch of Washington, again, it's always hard to see where exactly that ball goes out of bounds. He may have declined that penalty and just taken the ball where it went out of bounds, which was Metamora's 45-yard line, so Washington will start this drive in plus territory.
Nice job, veteran coaching right there. He knows what he's doing.
Stewart hands it off to McQuarrie, and he bursts up the middle. He is free. Kaden McQuarrie, he ran for the first touchdown of the season, and he's got the second of the season for the Panthers. 6 for Washington as McQuarrie ties it up.
Wow, Washington storming back, and that gets the home faithful fired up, John. What a big play right there. And talk about finding their footing, finding the safety, get the ball back in first play. You go for a 45-yard touchdown run. McQuarrie showing off the wheels.
45-yard scamper for McQuarrie. He scored the Panthers' only touchdown of the season prior to this against Highland in week 1. As Mitch Coughlin on now for the PAT, and it's good. And Washington, how about that for a response? Safety and a touchdown. They lead now at 9-8.
9-8. Interesting score, but it's been an interesting game so far. All Metamora to start the first quarter. Can you believe we've still got 4:16 left to go in the first quarter, John? But it's been back and forth. Washington holding much of the momentum right now. Panthers flag flying. Everybody's feeling good on the home sideline. What can Metamora do to respond?
Well, we will definitely see. Washington's scoring drive pretty simple. One play, 45 yards in 10 seconds. That scoring drive is brought to you by Uftring. Tonight's broadcast is also sponsored by Jodi Brown State Farm. For all your insurance needs, give Jodi a call at 309-693-1103 or visit the website at jodibrownagency.com. Want to shout out Jodi for support of high school athletics here in Central Illinois. And we're glad you're with us here too on Clutch Sports Media. In case you're just tuning in, Metamora struck first with a touchdown and 2-point conversion. Washington got a safety and the 45-yard run from McQuarrie to take the lead. Metamora runs this back out across the 20. And another good special teams play there for the Panthers as they tackled O'Laughlin pretty early on.
Yeah, Ethan Chadwick coming in for the nice tackle right there. Put him right about the 20-yard line. And again, a long field to go here for the Redbirds. They had tough field position last time, ended up in a safety. So definitely want to keep themselves in plus territory. Don't want to get backed up to the goal line once again, and got to try to move the ball forward this time.
Moving it forward rather than backward will be big. I'm sure that's what head coach Jerry Grebner is talking about in the huddle there with the Redbirds. Put together a nice 82-yard scoring drive to start this game. It took just over 3 minutes. And last week, Gavin, Metamora's offense started out great. They had two touchdowns from Kaden Hartnett. And then the rest of the game was nothing for them. They still held on for the win against LaSalle Peru. And they also put up 16 before they forfeited against Peoria in week 1. And they're halfway to that point now. Hartnett the handoff to Cameron Davis. Bursts it out to the outside near the sideline, and he only gets about 1 or 2. Nice job there by Jace Harlan and Carter Prina on the tackle there. Thought that Cam Davis may be able to, beat the blockers to the outside and, turn the corner, but Prina and Harlan were right there.
I think he was looking maybe to cut back inside there, a little indecisive on that play. Thought he was also going to, same as you, I thought he was going to cut to the outside, maybe have some green grass to run, but nice job by the Panthers D-line bringing them down, and they've been the story of this game so far.
2nd and 7 with 3:25 to go in the first. Hartnett dropping back. He's being pressured, looking for Shuda, and that ball was very close to being caught. That ricochets off, I believe it was his chest pad, or it could have been the ground as well. Tough angle to see there, but nevertheless incompletion that brings up 3rd down.
McQuarrie is all over the place, the big touchdown run. Now he's in coverage there for the Panthers. Nice job. Jumped on top of it, and it's a 3rd and long. It's going to take a big play. Washington's defense showing they're going to hold pretty solid. Can Metamora make a big play? 7 yards to go for the 1st down.
The question for Washington this season was who was going to step up. It looks like Kaden McQuarrie is one of those guys getting it done on both sides of the football. He's going to be a player to watch in the Mid-Illini Conference in the coming years. Hartnett hands off to Davis, and he is stood up. That will bring him up 4th down, and Washington's front 7 extinguishes a Cameron Davis run and hopes of the 1st down. That'll bring up 4th and long, and the Redbirds will punt it away.
Yeah, nice job right there by Washington, holding firm on the defense, only allowing a few yards on this drive. And again, something that Jerry Gribner mentioned, they looked so good on that opening drive. He thought they would start to take a lot of momentum, put up a lot of early points, but that's not been the case at all. Gone a little stagnant here offensively for the Redbirds. See if they can rein it back in, perhaps, when they get the ball next time, put some points up.
Redbirds put it away, and it's a high kick, almost blocked, and waving it for the fair catch. That's Jacob Walker of Washington. Another good field possession for Washington. They only had to go 45 yards last time, and they will start this one at their own 49.
Yeah, good field position now each in the last 2 possessions. Took them 1 play last time. McQuarrie taking it to the house 45 yards. Probably don't expect them to do that again, although you never know, John. But again, got to move the ball forward. You got to think Metamora is going to want to stiffen up here, try to get the ball back.
3rd drive of the contest for Washington. Stewart will take this one from under center again. 2 wide receivers at the bottom of your screen. That is Carbaugh, and it looks like Tyler Brown as well. Handoff goes to, looks like that was McQueary there. Tyler Humphrey. Listed at quarterback for Washington, short gain there. Humphrey was one of the 4 players that was listed in a quarterback battle before the year. Jake Stewart, obviously the starter right now. Preston Nelson, a very big talent coming up from Janesville, Wisconsin, in the mix. Madden Mendoza, Tyler Humphrey, they also were in the mix for the starting QB spot as well. Handoff here goes to the freshman. That's Jones. He's made his impact felt as a freshman, stepping up in the spotlight in the big game, and they're going to be 3rd and short for Washington.
Yeah, that was a big play right there, and again, just a freshman here at the student section. He's just a freshman. Definitely a big upcoming player for Washington, but 3rd and short. I think that they might hand it up the gut to McQueary, perhaps to take it up the middle. We'll see what Metamora can do, though. They're stacking the D-line.
Harlan lined up at fullback, McQueary behind him. Stewart barking out the signals. 3rd and short, it's going to be a pitch to McQueary running left, and he is across the 40. That will be enough for the first down. Gain of about 5. And Washington, a clutch play there.
We love clutch plays, don't we, John? And didn't quite go up the middle, but definitely nice right there. Good blocking. I think that's one thing I've been most impressed with tonight about Washington. They've had excellent blocking going both ways on special teams as well as on offense. They're opening up some nice holes for their receivers and running backs to get some big yardage.
Good blocks there from Henry Warwick and Noah Wiley on the O-line on that last play. This one go to McQueary, and he is tackled immediately. Looks like that was Dalton Shuda and Luke Ufile. They're combining for the tackle in what might be the last play of the first quarter, although we'll see.
We will see. I believe Washington will probably take their time here. Looks like they're just going to stand around for a moment, perhaps let the clock run out, but good little momentum play right there for Metamora to take into quarter number 2. But overall, Washington is riding a lot. It's a 1-point game, but got to think this game has been all Washington so far.
9-8 Panthers after 1 here at Babcook Field. Certainly shaping up to be another dandy in Washington. I want to take a quick break to remind you that tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Jodi Brown State Farm. For all your insurance needs, auto, home, or life, give Jodi a call at 309-693-1103 or visit jodibrownagency.com. And tonight's broadcast is also brought to you by Uftring.
6 dealerships, 500 used vehicles, 1 location. It's the Uftring Auto Group 40th Anniversary Multi-Dealer Celebration Sale. For 3 days only, 500 used vehicles are coming home to Washington, where Carrie Uftring started 40 years ago. Through Monday at Uftring in Washington.
Thank you to Uftring for sponsoring tonight's broadcast. Gavin, a classic is shaping up here at Babcook Field. And odd score, too, 9-8. You don't see that very often. But that safety for Washington was really exactly what they needed.
Yeah, no, I mentioned it's almost like a basketball score, John. You don't really see 9-8 too often unless you get 3 field goals. But no, virtue of a safety and a touchdown, a couple of big plays for both teams has kind of put them in their scoring. But overall, I mean, it has been a pretty back-and-forth battle. Metamora holding momentum early in the quarter, then Washington really taking it over. See, as we head into quarter number 2, will that shift away? Only time will tell.
It will be a 2nd and 10 for Washington. 3 men in the backfield. And it looks like that's going to be McQueary again, and he gets tripped up by the ankles. That one could have been broken for a much larger gain if it was not for Nate Bartman in the backfield.
Clutch tackle right there from Bartman. Definitely needed that. Again, he had some green grass right there. And this is a 3rd and manageable, 3rd and 5, so you're halfway there, but not going to be easy. Metamora's defensive line has proven that they can do some damage as well. It's going to be a battle of the trenches, I think, a lot more than people realize. There's some big-time players on both sides of the ball, on both lines.
3rd and 5 for Washington. Harlan and McQuarrie in the backfield, also a tight end. This one is handed to McQuarrie, and he will not pick up the first down. That's only a gain of about 1 or 2 there. Dalton Shuda again in on the tackle at middle linebacker for the Birds. He has been swarming to the football tonight.
I think you got to go for it here, John, and I think Daryl Crouch feels the same way. I mean, a punt's really not going to do you too much better. 4th and 3, definitely plausible that you can get a first down here. You got to keep that momentum. They're going to bring out the freshman again. That's A.J. Jones. He's made a couple of nice plays so far. Let's see if the freshman perhaps clutches up for the Washington Panthers.
Jones, number 81, the second to the closest receiver on your screen. Alongside him is Brayson Barth, and before that, we'll have a timeout for Washington. Daryl Crouch burns the first of his 3. It's probably a good call, drawing up the right play. Maybe see what Metamora comes out in, almost kind of like how basketball head coaches do it.
Yeah, you definitely want to, again, play chess, not checkers, is what I was looking to say there. 4th and 3, it's a big moment in the game up to this point. You got 10-24, so there's a lot of game left to go, John. I mean, we've got practically 3 full quarters. This is an opportunity to, again, extend your drive, push you closer to the end zone. I feel like a touchdown here would put the Panthers in a lot more of a comfortable position, would start to put Metamora back on their heels. Again, it wouldn't seal anything out. There's plenty of time left, but Washington's going to want to keep themselves in front. They've trailed in both of the games that they've played in so far. They've not held a lead. They want to keep that lead. They want to continue that confidence, especially for a team with a lot of new starters and a lot of new players.
Certainly good points brought up there, Gavin. Will the Redbirds be able to possibly get back momentum, or will Washington continue their drive? 4th and 3, Stewart in the shotgun. Jones the man in motion, and they will hand it off to him. The freshman dives. He's very close, and he has barely got the first down by the looks of it. And yes, the referee signals first down. How about A.J. Jones? 3 big carries. And put him in motion, and he has made a lot of good plays tonight.
Yeah, I had a feeling A.J. Jones trotting back out on there in the field, he would be involved in some way, shape, or form, and he was the ball carrier in motion, as you mentioned, just extending it out for the first down. And, boy, didn't really expect to see him much in this game, but could be a name to watch throughout the rest of the season and into coming years.
Ian Nettles comes into the game for Washington. Oh, a big hit there. That was Stewart and O'Laughlin colliding there. Both players seem to be all right, though. Big helmet-to-helmet collision.
Big hit right there.
That was a naked bootleg there for Stewart.
Hartnett getting it done on both sides of the ball right there. Playing as the defensive back and coming up from safety, making a big hit.
2nd and 30 at the Metamora 22. Looks like it'll be Stewart and Nettles again in the backfield. Another handoff to Stewart. This looks like the same play. And a little bit of a smaller gain there, just across the 20. So Panthers do get into the red zone, but they'll be faced with another 3rd down, Gavin.
I think they got the first down there, actually, John. Just barely getting enough right there. And that was a tough run by Stewart. Daryl Crouch not worried about him wearing out too early in the game. Looked like he might have gotten just slightly banged up there. Again, another really solid tackle for Metamora. Didn't allow a big gain, but that's enough for a first down.
Stewart, the quarterback for Washington, can also play wide receiver and defensive back as well. And this handoff will go to McQuarrie. He's matched up one-on-one, and he beats him inside the 10 is McQuarrie. He's got a first down, and he is hyped up, and so is this Washington crowd. They can feel the energy as Washington is knocking on the door again.
They are knocking on the door, and again, go back to that 4th and 3. That was a big turning point of this drive. They've shaved a couple more minutes off the clock here. Now this is the opportunity. You got to convert. You got 4 tries to do it. You got to think it's for sure 4 down territory. So 4 opportunities to get yourself into the end zone and extend out your 1-point lead. I feel like it would be a huge turning point for this game.
First and goal for Washington. Give fake to McQuarrie. Stewart kept it, didn't gain much there. That will bring up second and goal for Washington. Any score here, Gavin, they would already set a new record for points scored in a game this season, albeit it is a young season, but going up against two strong opponents.
Yeah, those games counted, but do they really count if you're Washington? That was one of our keys to the game. You got to put the last couple weeks behind you because they didn't really matter so much. What matters is right now.
Second and goal. Stewart gives to McQuarrie, and Metamora's defensive line met him quickly, although McQuarrie got a couple more yards. That'll make it third and short. But how about Metamora's defensive line, Gavin? McQuarrie beat them for that touchdown and take the lead, but since then, Metamora's defensive line of Max Largent, Adam Sloan, Tyler Kasap and company, Drew Hansen as well, they've been diagnosing plays pretty early.
Yeah, they took that touchdown run personally. They are definitely coming out with some ferocity on this drive, and they are no stranger to making some big hits. But like that run, if you're McQuarrie, it sets you up with a good third and manageable to get yourself into the end zone. Again, 2 opportunities to do it because this is 100% 4-down territory for the Panthers.
Long drive for the Panthers. They would not like to let it stop short of the goal line, which it does not. McQuarrie looked like he just got into the end zone. Delayed call there from the referee, but once he raised his arms up in the air, these stands went crazy, Gavin.
The ref's arms go up, and that's what Washington fans know. That's a touchdown. Big play right there, 15-8, and again, huge turning point in this game. Washington clutched up on a couple of 4th downs, 3rd downs. They're going to attempt the PAT here and go up a whole score.
Kick is good from Coughlin, and the Panthers now lead 16-8. Spirits high here in Babcook Field for the home side. Flags are flying, student section going crazy, and it's got to feel good for the Panthers to have a pretty good lead here.
Yeah, this is not the Panthers team of the first couple weeks, and again, when you start off with 2 brutal opponents, when you kind of finding yourself as a team, that's really tough. Of course, Washington, the years where they bring a lot back, where they have a lot of experience, they're, of course, going to compete with those state-ranked teams. They're going to be among the best as well. But first couple weeks, got to find yourself. Took them a couple weeks to do, but again, they're showing that they can be just as dangerous as everybody expects them to be year in and year out, rather. Excuse me. Metamora, though, they are also a very good program. See what they can do.
Uftring scoring drive there for the Panthers. How about this? 10 plays, 51 yards, and took a whopping 7 minutes, 48 seconds off the clock. How about the ball control there for Washington? That's certainly very impressive as they take an 8-point lead. Coughlin will get set to kick it away, give the ball back to the Redbirds. Low kick takes a bounce. Will Metamora be able to handle it? They cannot. This will be a short return. And being pushed back are the Redbirds. That may have been Shuta there on the return, but regardless of who it is, not a good starting field position for the Redbirds, and trouble corralling that kick.
They've really not had any good starting field position outside of their first drive. It was decent field position. I believe they were up more near the 30-yard line, but every offensive drive so far, they've been pinned right around the 20-yard line or even closer to the goal line. Washington special teams doing a nice job. They've also done a nice job limiting big plays in the last couple drives. So, again, can Metamora find some consistency as we get way into the second quarter?
Hartnett hands it off to Davis. He could be that guy for the Redbirds that provides a spark, but so far, it's been pretty tough sledding for the Redbirds halfback.
Yeah, how about that defensive line there for Washington? I mean, again, not a ton of experience up there. You got a couple of juniors. You got a sophomore starting up there, but they're showing off. They are not holding anything back whatsoever. Malik McCarron's been big for him so far. He was one of the biggest reasons they had that safety earlier in the game, but he's made some big plays as well, and just got to give credit to all the Panthers D linemen. They are holding tough up there in the middle.
certainly are against a starting unit that is much older than them. 9 seniors on Metamora's starting roster on the offensive end. Hartnett dips it off to his wide receiver. Looks like that was Davis, rather, the running back, and that'll be a first down for the Redbirds. Not a huge play, but certainly what feels like a necessary play.
Yeah, you move the ball forward, kind of take a little bit of a sigh of relief right there, get that first under your belt. You move way away from the other end zone, so you're getting up towards midfield. It's about piecing momentum together. That's what this game is all about.
Washington did that on their last drive. Can the Redbirds do the same? Hartnett rolls out, looking deep down the field, and diving was the tight end. Judah. Would have been a spectacular catch if he would have been able to catch it. Just out of his reach, though, and that will bring up 2nd and 10 for Metamora.
Yeah, that would have been an incredible throw and catch right there. Hartnett would have had to fit that into a very tight window. Brayson Barth, again on the coverage. He's been in coverage quite a bit for the Panthers and holding pretty tough out there, not giving Redbird receivers too much room. Again, doing a nice job. 2nd down, though, need to make a big play right here.
Hartnett in the shotgun. Looks like he's going to keep this one. He's past the first down marker. He's into Washington territory. Takes a big hit, but a big gain there. Brought down by Jake Stewart. But great play there on the keeper from Hartnett. Sold that fake nearly immaculately. Washington bid on it. Haven't made many mistakes tonight, but Metamora, that's kind of more of a credit to them rather than it was a bad play on Washington's end.
Yeah, no, not bad defense, just better offense right there. And Metamora, again, showing they can move the ball, just got to get that regularity down. But a nice job moving the ball right there. Hartnett is a versatile playmaker, again, transferring over from a wide receiver back to quarterback, showing off his skills on the ground.
1st and 10, Metamora student section getting loud. Pass fake from Hartnett, but Davis is brought down in the backfield. How about Jace Harlan, the linebacker, the big tackle, and he's pumped up.
Sure is pumped up. A couple of high fives there with his teammates, and again, coming up a tackle for loss right there. Metamora had a little bit of mojo there going, but quickly shut down there by the Panthers linebackers and D-line. They're holding very, very tough early in the year. They might be young, but they are extremely talented.
Washington linebacking core that lost impact players such as Cade Beachside, Brock Skaggs. And they're carrying the torch this year as Hartnett goes deep. Will there be a flag thrown on McQuarrie? Physical play there on the football. Looked like he sort of shoved down Luke Ufile. Metamora sideline not too happy about that. I don't know, Gavin, what did you see there? Do you think that call warranted a flag or not?
I would say it would. I mean, it wasn't totally catchable necessarily, but that was some pretty egregious contact. I mean, that was far from necessary. It wasn't maybe just a bit of a tug or a bit of a push or something like that. I mean, that was completely rolled him over, put him on the ground, didn't give him any chance to be able to make that play. Again, maybe the ref deeming it uncatchable, but I might agree with Metamora right there. Perhaps a flag was warranted.
Likely it was an uncatchable ball. 3rd and 11, Hartnett scrambling, and the Washington front 7 comes up big again. Short gain there. That will be 4th and not very manageable. Out 4th and 8 or so for Metamora.
This is a big call right here for Jared Grebner, and it looks like they're probably going to leave the offense on the field the way that huddle's looking over there. 4th and 7, that is not an easy 4th down play. Got a little to make up there, and they're going to stay out there. Got to keep matching Washington's aggressiveness. Got to keep this drive going. Metamora faithful make a little noise.
Hartnett takes the snap from the shotgun. Davis in the backfield. 4th and 7. Who will he look to here? He is going. Looks like he found Simmons. Metamora wide receiver. And how about a big catch there for Metamora? Hartnett found his wide out and got him right before got out of bounds. That was, looks like Simmons on the out route.
Nice job right there. And again, Hartnett, he can get it done on the ground. He's a great ball carrier, but he can throw it too. Played a couple of years Frosh and JV teams as a QB, and again, he's got more than enough ability to throw the ball. That was a clutch play on fourth down. Both teams 1 for 1 on fourth down.
Another time-consuming drive being put together by Metamora. They'll probably want to choose some clock here as this carry for the Birds. It looks like this one is going to Mark Frederick.
Number 24, Mark Frederick.
On the carry, and that's the first time we've called his name, and certainly makes it happen with a first down there. So Frederick on Metamora's side, A.J. Jones on Washington's side, a couple young players that are making some big plays in some of their first taste of the Metamora-Washington rivalry.
Dub them unlikely heroes, but coming up big so far in this first half, making their name known.
Timeout called here. It's like by the Panthers. Before the 2nd and 1 call. Just over 2 minutes to go here in Washington. I want to thank you all for tuning in to our broadcast tonight. I want to give a shout out to our crew as well. Our producer, Rodrigo Perez, Beatrice Zaleski, and Ethan Carboni on the camera, Francisco Alonso running our social media. And shout out to Joey Wright, designing some of these graphics that you see on your screen.
We'll give you more details about that right before and after their performance.
2nd and 1 upcoming for the Panthers. Or excuse me, the Redbirds rather.
2nd and 1, Metamora after the timeout.
This drive started for Metamora at their own 12-yard line. And are now on Washington's 23. Hartnett steps back, looks down the middle, and he's got a man! That was Broderick Shares. 6 for Metamora, and they draw closer just over 2 minutes before halftime. Hartnett was looking for that big completion and finally got it to Broderick Shares.
Shares doing a really nice job right there on the catch. Washington's had pretty good coverage in the defensive backfield for the most part in this game, but a couple of passes have gone Metamora's way, and Hartnett, again, showing off the arm right there. Very, very nice job.
Long scoring drive for the Redbirds. We'll see. It looks like they're going to go for 2 here. That could potentially tie this game up.
It's definitely the right call, John.
2-point conversion here. Tight ends go from the backfield to the line. Hartnett keeps it. Going to the near side. He's got the speed to go in. Kaden Hartnett with the scramble, and Metamora is right back in this game, and we are knotted at 16.
The momentum, back and forth we go. Long drive from the Redbirds right there. Didn't leave much time for Washington. Very, very nice job from the Metamora offense to respond.
Well, Kaden Hartnett, Gavin, the quarterback, looked maybe a little frustrated in the last couple drives, but was able to really put together some good throws, some good plays with his legs as well on that drive.
Certainly did. Big playmaker on that drive.
I'm going to take a quick break for our Uftring scoring drive for Metamora. 9 plays, they went 82 yards, 4 minutes and 13 seconds, and just over 2 minutes into halftime, Gavin. This game is about as even as you could get. We'll see what these last 134 seconds bring and see if anybody can establish any of what we like to call Big Mo.
Oh, Big Mo. It's been on both sides of the field so far. Throwing on the Metamora jersey early, then coming over sporting the Washington orange, but now very in favor of Metamora right here. 2:14 left. That's not impossible for Washington to get back in a position to score, but we've seen slower drives from both teams. But how about a 16-16 game, a beautiful night in week 3 of high school football season? There's not too much more you could ask for, John. This is just absolutely electric.
Two teams struggling to find much separation, but gotta say, unless you're a huge Washington or Metamora fan, that's just the way you like it, and that's probably what you're used to in this rivalry. As Metamora kicks it away, takes a hop, and this could be trouble for Washington. That'll be returned just past the goal line. That was Jacob Walker with the return, and Washington will only start the drive at their own 4-yard line. We saw on Metamora's and they had trouble corralling the kick, and that one really tripped up the Panthers there.
Yeah, might need to practice a few extra times turning those bouncing balls here on the turf. Definitely maybe hard to read when they're taking all these weird bounces and hops and things. Thought he might just let it roll into the end zone, but come to think of it, he may have touched it, so definitely needing to return and try to take it as far away from the goal line as possible. But this is really tough territory, and like we saw earlier on the flip side of things, Washington getting the safety, perhaps they can do the same thing. I would expect Darryl Crouch to be a little more conservative here, backed up near the goal line.
2 men in the backfield for Jake Stewart and the Panthers. It's Jace Harlan and Kaden McQuarrie. Certainly not ideal field position. This one is given to McQuarrie. He's brought down from behind after a short gain. See if Metamora, Gavin, calls a timeout here. Maybe tries to get a stop, get 2 more stops, and then maybe try and get the ball back in good field position. Maybe see if they can squeak in a score before halftime.
Definitely possible. I think they're definitely going to consider that depending on the outcome of this next play right here. Definitely want to leave a couple of timeouts for their offensive drive if that's so the case. But it's going to really depend on what they can do right here. Can Metamora hold and stop them once again?
Stewart under center, and this give looks like it goes to Harlan, and he's close to the first down, so quality play there from the Panthers. Got a good push from his young offensive line.
Yeah, the offensive line is huge for the for the Washington Panthers. They're always coached up very well, but again, new faces on that line. Got to learn some of that game experience, but they've opened up some nice holes, and again, the blocking has definitely been a strong suit tonight for Washington.
A lot of size on the offensive line for the Panthers. Henry Warwick, left tackle, Aiden O'Brien, center, Tate Lule at right guard. All over 240 pounds, a lot of size on that line. Is Washington with the carry, that's Harlan. He's up to the 20, and he manages to nab a first down. That's big for Washington, getting out of being backed up against their own end zone.
Yeah, they're going to obviously stop the clock with the first down rolling there, but I think Washington, again, is just trying to move the ball, see if maybe they can break out a big play here late. They've only got 1 timeout left. Doubt they're going to take too big of a shot. They don't want to lose any momentum heading into halftime because, again, momentum is huge, especially in a rivalry game.
Less than 30 ticks remaining here in the first half at Babcook Field. Glad you're with us here on ClutchSportsIL.com. Stewart hands off to McQuarrie. He's got open space. Out past the 36, but there is a flag on the play. This could be coming back, Gavin. Might be a hold on Washington.
That's what I'm thinking, and not too many flags on Washington early in the game. Really, it's really one of their first flags. We saw some early penalties on Metamora. That got cleaned up, so pretty disciplined football in the last quarter or so, but a late one right there. And, again, probably got to think Washington's just going to try to run the last 17 seconds out. Not a lot of time to do anything here.
Chance of you can't do that rain down from Metamora's student section. Not far behind where the Panthers are situated at their own 13-yard line. In all likelihood, Gavin, this will likely be the last play of the first half, although they get a big play from McQuarrie possibly. Could possibly call a timeout, but clock is running here, less than 10 seconds left. Will Washington snap it? They will. The handoff does go to McQuarrie. He has some open space. Makes a cut, and he is brought down at the 25. So no big run there for McQuarrie, but his touchdown from 45 yards out gave Washington the lead. And then added another one later. Metamora responds with a touchdown pass. Kaden Hartnett hooking up with Broderick Shares on the connection. And that is how we are at a 16-16 score at halftime, Gavin.
Boy, it's been a really entertaining game so far. You expect, again, nothing less from a rivalry matchup. What a great week 3 we have so far, and it's going to be a really entertaining finish. You're not going to want to miss any of the action coming into the second half. It's going to be really good.
I want to take a quick break to remind you that tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Jodi Brown State Farm. For all your insurance needs, give Jodi a call, 309-693-1103, or visit jodibrown.agency.com. Tonight's broadcast is also brought to you by Upstring. Following that, stick around for the Washington Community High School Band halftime show. We'll be back with more stats and analysis and the second half coming up on ClutchSportsIL.com.
6 dealerships, 500 used vehicles, 1 location. It's the Upstring Auto Group 40th Anniversary Multi-Dealer Celebration Sale. For 3 days only, we're clearing out 500 used vehicles and paying the maximum for all trades. Through Monday at Upstring Chevy in Washington.
How about another hand for the Marching Panthers? Featured performers to this year's show are Ellie Redling Schaefer on flute, Clara Dagenhart on clarinet, Alyssa Rosenboom and Chris Savage and TJ Watson on saxophone, Michael Trueblood and Bella Gray on trumpet, Will Ream on trombone, Carter Benedict on baritone, Tommy Nemec on tuba, Evan Alois and Nathan Mann on percussion. Featured color guard performers are Alex Shoup, Damian Bicknell, and Tara Stromberger. Paula Johnson is the president of the Band Boosters, and they would like to thank all of their band patrons, including their diamond level patrons, the Caterpillar Foundation, the Law Office of Louis P. Malloy, McDonald's, Mark and Kayla Goldamer, Sunbelt Rentals, Trace Rojas, Teamworks, the Caterpillar Visitors Center, Remax WRC Downtown, Tazwell Motors, Illinois Eye Center, the Schnell family, Weavers, and the M family. The Marching Panthers are directed by Lisa Parrott. Dan Dietrich is the brass caption manager. Susie Arns, the woodwinds caption manager.
Welcome back to Washington after a phenomenal performance from the Washington Community High School Band. Gavin, one of the best in the area. They put on a great show for a couple thousand, I would guess, here in the crowd tonight. But before we kind of talk about what's upcoming in the second half, I want to run by some scores around the area for you. The Heart of Illinois Conference, Ottawa Marquette leading DMAC 21-0 in the third quarter. Bloomington pulling off a small upset against P&D. They lead 18-6 at the half. Danville leading Manual 28-6. That game's at halftime. And Peoria leading Cahokia 32-16. Over in the Mid-Illini, East Peoria may be on track for their second win of the season. They're beating the Limestone Rockets 14-0 at halftime. Pekin leads Dunlap 14-6 at the half. You can catch that game being broadcasted by our very own Cody Roskins and John Camosa over on 101.1 ESPN Peoria. And Morton also leading Canton 14-0. Last update we got was in the second quarter. Canton kind of holding with them as well, but some interesting scores, Gavin.
Yeah, definitely some interesting scores. That Bloomington one catches my eye because Bloomington squeaked one out earlier in the year against Richwoods. That was a tough game. Bloomington's been a little bit up and down. P&D is a very tough team to play against, always very disciplined. That wing T offense always keeps teams on their toes. So that one's something to keep an eye on as that game goes along. Danville showing they're the real deal in the Big 12, getting back to where they were a few years ago. And then, of course, Peoria High doing their thing, 32-16 at halftime. Got to think that they're probably going to hold on to that one and take their third W of the year. Over in the Mid-Illini, look at East Peoria doing it. Didn't pick up a win for about 4 years there, and then they're looking for 2 in a row, starting a new streak, so good for the Raiders. Pekin Dunlap, that one's definitely interesting, so if you don't want to tune into this one, go and check that one over there. It's going to be a good finish to that game. And then, again, Canton hanging around right there. Morton's going to be a pretty good team. They're going to be definitely difficult to play against. Some great games around the area, John.
Certainly, and also another score, Gavin, I want to mention, Normal West leading Normal Community 21-2. That's certainly one to watch out for as the Wildcats vie for Twin Cities supremacy. But looking ahead to the second half, Gavin, 16-16, as close as you could possibly be. Both sides had their momentum. They had it taken away, kind of got it back a little bit. What are you looking for from the Panthers and the Redbirds, respectively, to start?
Well, I think it's going to kind of go back to our original keys to the game is, again, we start all knotted up. I mean, we're just coming for a whole new half right here. Definitely it's, something where Metamora probably wants some more consistency. Definitely looking for something a little more regular on offense. Defensively, they had some big plays. They had some good momentum early on. It's, again, just putting it together for 4 full quarters. It's really hard to do in a rivalry game like this. It's just going back to the original keys. Discipline, momentum, regularity, nothing much more to say. We're just going to have to see how this one plays out.
Certainly promises to be a classic here at Babcook Field. It's been brewing for 2 quarters. Strap in, folks. This may be the game of the year in one of the biggest rivalries around in Central Illinois. The 64th meeting between these teams, Gavin, and you take a look at it of this series. Metamora leads at 35-28. 23 of those games were decided by one score. Last year, Washington won in the fall, and then in the spring season, Metamora took a victory. Before that, Washington won for a couple straight years, too.
Yeah, in recent meetings, it's been all Washington, and, you know, again, this is a very different-looking Panthers team, but they're pumping out some great talent year in and year out. I mean, it doesn't matter what position or what year. Washington and Metamora both always have some talented players. They're always tough competition to play against. And, again, even though Washington's had the upper hand, both teams have been very successful in recent years. But, again, this is as even as it gets. I think this is probably one of the closest matchup we've seen between these two teams in recent seasons, and it's promised to be a really good one. I know you said perhaps Game of the Year candidate. It certainly could be. It could come down to the very last plays in this game.
A little extra time added in the half, so we'll kicked off in about 2 minutes or so. Glad you're with us here on ClutchSportsIL.com. Want to give a shout out to our crew tonight, our producer Rodrigo Perez, Thatcher Zaleski, and Ethan Carboni on camera, Paco Alonso on social media, and Joey Wright designing these beautiful graphics that we're able to use for the broadcast tonight.
Joey working from home, but getting it done, putting in the time and the effort for Clutch Sports Media. We wouldn't be able to do all this without Joey Wright. Big shout out to that guy.
Certainly, and our other co-founder, Larry Larson, as well. They both graduated from Bradley last year, but still helping out with us. Certainly appreciate their efforts to keep it rolling here in year 4 of Clutch Sports Media.
They should be back, too, at some point. They'll make their reappearance at some point. No promises when, but we await the return of Larry Larson and Joey Wright. It'll be spectacular.
Stay on the lookout, folks. The boys might be coming back into town. Don't know what weeks yet, but might see them around. But just under a minute to go until the start of the second half. Just kind of recap the action. Metamora struck first with a touchdown. That was a run from Cam Davis. Washington responded with a run from Kaden McQuarrie. McQuarrie struck again for another touchdown. Also before those two touchdowns was that safety. That was a huge play for Washington. Kind of keyed their switch of momentum, and then Metamora got one back to tie this game up with a touchdown pass from Kaden Hartnett to Broderick Shares. 2-point conversion was good, and that's how we are knotted up at 16.
Metamora definitely staying aggressive on the air attack, although they've probably run more, maybe 60-40, 70-30 split, something in that ballpark, but they've passed quite a bit more. Washington really not airing it out too often, and we've seen a couple of muffed kickoff returns, so we'll see if the special teams tighten up as we get here into the third quarter. We are about underway. Here we go, folks.
Low kick again. We'll see if Washington can return it. They do. Had a good bounce there, and Panthers will start that drive at around the 30 or so. That kick return was by Jackson Godinez. And the Panthers will start their first drive of the second half at their own 30. As Jake Stewart leads his offense back out there. Stewart earning the start over the much heralded Preston Nelson, transfer from Janesville Parker in Wisconsin. And here's McQuarrie along the left side. He's got space. He's up near midfield. And the Panthers have a great start to the second half. An explosive run from McQuarrie.
Brought down by 13, Luke Ufile.
Gain of about 16 there. That'll be one play. And Washington already nearing a plus territory. McQuarrie certainly been the one getting it done in the backfield. Jace Harlan had a couple other good runs as well, and he's thrown some good blocks as well, playing fullback tonight. And this give will go to Harlan, it looks like. Rather, that was a keeper by Jake Stewart. Faked me out there, but got up to about midfield. That'll bring up a second and manageable.
Yeah, to your point about McQuarrie, although he's been the primary ball carrier, it's been that whole duo of Jace Harlan and Cannon McQuarrie. Harlan throwing some big blocks down there, and they're both juniors, John. So this is going to be a duo that's going to come back next year, perhaps rival that Kanye Tyler-Tanner Sprecher duo from Pekin.
One of the best in the Big 12, Sprecher and Tyler R. This one is a short gain for Washington. Stewart on the keeper again. That'll bring up a third down for Washington, who had a couple of time-consuming drives in the first half. Put together a 10-play, 51-yard drive that took nearly 8 minutes off the clock. And they also held the ball for nearly 9 minutes before throwing an interception as well, too. Third and 3 for the Panthers. Stewart hands off to McQuarrie, and he's brought down in the backfield. There's a whole nest of Redbirds back there. And that'll bring up a fourth down, and Metamora's front seven allowed a big run to start, but they came back, got it done, and stopped McQuarrie from getting the first down.
Yeah, big play right there, and then special teams going to come on here for Washington. They're not going to get too aggressive here early in the third quarter. Don't want to take a chance and give Metamora a good field position, so they'll try to pin him in deep. There's no returner back there for Metamora.
Coughlin to punt. It's a beauty. This one will bounce at the 15 and takes a Washington roll. They might be able to down this very close to the goal line, and they do so at the 3. A beauty of a punt, 44 yards there from Mitch Coughlin. And Gavin, when you have a good kicker and punter in high school, it can bring such a big advantage, and it really just was on display there for the Panthers.
Yeah, that's something a lot of teams just don't have too much of. You'll see sometimes they'll go to the soccer team and maybe try to pull a player over, something of that nature. But, yeah, a lot of teams don't really focus on kickers and punters, but it's just those little areas. Look, it sets Metamora in not very good field position once again. Metamora's had some tough starting drives and some tough spots to start from. Washington with an opportunity to keep them pinned in close, maybe go for another safety.
Panthers, that's how they got their scoring started, was a safety in the first half. But this one is handed off to Cam Davis. Looks like he's brought down from behind. A big play there. Rather, that was Mark Frederick, the sophomore, getting the carry. He had a big first down in the first half, and he got it done there. Gain of about 30, maybe 31.
Yeah, that's a big run right there for Metamora. Maybe caught Washington a little bit off guard. We haven't called his name tonight, I don't believe. Nice big run right there, and it really gives them a whole lot more breathing room.
Student sections getting loud here. Just under 9 minutes to go as this one handed off to Davis, and he's wrapped up by the Panthers. Another good play by their front seven. That was Jace Harlan, their middle linebacker, on the tackle. He has been flying all over the field tonight, Gavin, really making some big stops and filling the shoes, really, of two real good linebackers that left the Panthers last year.
Yeah, Cade Beedscheid and Brock Skaggs doing great things for the Panthers last year. That's, as you mentioned, some big shoes to fill right there. And Harlan doing all the dirty work. He's getting in those little spots, making the blocks on offense, making some nice tackles on defense. He's just doing all the little things for the Panthers.
2nd and 10 for Hartnett. 2 men in the backfield. This one handed off to Frederick, although the Panthers knew it was coming, and their right side knocks it down. That looks like it was Eric Doherty and Garrett Cox on the tackle there.
Push him back there for a loss of 1. So now it's 3rd and long for the Redbirds, and Washington in a good spot, gave up that initial long run there. Frederick, but again, since then it's been absolutely nothing.
Credit the Panthers for recognizing what was coming there. 3rd and long Big play from Metamora. Hartnett drops back, looking possibly for shootout. That's going to be a huge loss. 15 yards backwards. And look, that was brought down by Eli Pappas and company for Washington. Loss of 15, Gavin, and Metamora looks like they're going to have to punt here. And that's big for Washington's field position coming up.
Oh, this is 4th and a country mile. This is real long. Metamora absolutely no shot getting this conversion, and definitely not a risk you want to take. Certainly not. So they're going to punt here. 2 returners back for Washington. Again, we've seen some struggles from both teams on fielding kicks. Will they be able to maybe clean that up here in the second half? This will be one of our first opportunities to tell.
Looks like that's Brayson Barth and Jacob Walker back deep to receive for the Panthers. Barth comes up. Looks like Metamora may have been running a fake there. And there's a penalty. It looks like this might go against the Redbirds. And they've had a handful of those tonight. That will be a false start, so back them up 5 more. And we're getting close to 4th and 2 country miles, Gavin.
Oh, yeah, no kidding. But, boy, what a play right there. I mean, they were definitely going for the fake. That was not an intentional false start. So had that not have been a false start, that would have been a fake punt right there. I would have to think now that they would have to actually punt the ball, being even closer to the end zone.
The deep man is Walker for Washington. And they're going to run it again. Actually, is blocked for Washington. That is number 85, and he's into the end zone. Touchdown for the Panthers. That was Carter Prina getting in there, blocking the Australian-style kick. And a huge play from the Washington defense. Prina, the sophomore D lineman, got in there, and he got his paws all over that one and walked right in for 6.
Huge momentum swing right there. Flags are flying. The students loving. That's just deflating for Metamora. Think about all the way back earlier on this drive. They had a big run, got all the way up near midfield, moved all the way backwards, and 6 plus 1 more for the Panthers, and they take a big lead right there. Special teams and defense doing all the dirty work tonight for the Panthers, and their crowd is fired up. It's pretty fair to say, put the first 2 weeks behind them, the Washington Panthers are back, folks.
Washington leads now at 23-16. How about that for a momentum swing right there? There is massive pressure now on the Metamora sideline to respond to that. And now all of a sudden the crowd's into it. They're all alive. The student section is going crazy. It's a rivalry matchup, Gavin, and you can't slip for too long. Otherwise, all that momentum is going to stay on Washington's side.
Oh, yeah, very quickly, Big Mo back on the side of the Panthers. Again, a couple big plays right there, and you never really expect it, but special teams and defense can just do so much. You know, they had, of course, right there, the touchdown on the blocked punt, but they had the safety earlier. They've had numerous tackles for loss. They've had a couple of sacks. I mean, Washington is finding ways to do the little things, and especially for a team that may not have as much skill as they've had in the last couple of years. And again, nothing against these players. They're just younger. They're inexperienced, but they're finding ways to capitalize on the fundamentals, do the little things. This is Washington Panther football.
Even with a new team, the Panthers are out to prove that not much has changed. Looking for their first win of the season. Deep kick from Coughlin fielded at the 5. Looks like this might be Shares running it back from Metamora, and he's got a good return up past the 35.
Number 86, Broderick.
Good return there for the Redbirds, so maybe that can provide a spark for them. Shares on the receiving end of a touchdown pass from Kaden Hartnett in the first half.
Yeah, definitely one of the best kick returns we've seen. We haven't seen a whole lot of good there, but nice right there, and puts him up just short of midfield, just short of the 40-yard line. Again, Metamora needs to find that spark. Thought they had it early in their last drive. Frederick had a nice run of about 30 or so, and then again, it just started going backwards. Tackle for loss, a sack, a penalty, and then, of course, Washington special teams coming up with 6, plus the PAT if you're just joining us.
Ball on the 37, 6 minutes to go in the third quarter. Metamora looking for a response, and Cam Davis goes backwards. Another big play there from the Washington defense. Eli Bear, the junior linebacker, getting in on the action there. He's made some big tackles.
Well, they've had Cam Davis's number for the last few possessions going back to the second quarter. He had a couple big runs early on, but they've really stiffened up against him. Wonder if they maybe perhaps go back to throwing the ball, go back to Frederick, and Grebner has all the skill players in the huddle over there trying to get everybody on the same page. It's just been little things here and there have hurt the Metamora offense, kind of hurt that consistency, but they've proven they can get back into it. They are certainly not out of it, and there's plenty of time left to go in this game.
Redbirds rush to the line. The play clock winds down. It's at 3. Hartnett gets it off. Handoff goes to Frederick. The sophomore goes up to the 42, and it bites off a chunk of about half of what they needed, bringing up a 3rd and about 5.
On cue there, Frederick getting the handoff, and again, Metamora has a few weapons at their disposal. They've kept it on the ground for the most part in their last few drives, but they've actually had some of their most success passing the ball. They had the touchdown pass earlier. Again, 3rd down, 3rd and manageable. Wonder if they perhaps go back to the air. We'll see how many wideouts they line up here.
3rd and 5 for Hartnett and the Redbirds. They've been running it with Davis last couple of plays. 2 wide receivers at the top of your screen. Shoot at the tight end in motion. See if Hartnett looks his way. That one is a short completion. Looked like he got Tyler Kasap there, the other tight end for Metamora, but he was brought down pretty quickly. Another big play for this Washington defense, and the offense looks to get the ball back and possibly go up 2 scores, Gavin.
Yeah, they tried to go with the screen pass there, but nothing working, and we'll see if Metamora does a little more of a traditional punt here. Got blown up last time.
Protection is blown through. Doesn't matter who falls on it. It's going to be Washington football at the 28. 2 blocked punts. How about that, Gavin? Washington making things very tough for Metamora. And now they are in great field position. Can't say enough about this Washington defense and how they've played.
No kidding, and if we're going to give a player of the game, we might just have to consider Washington special teams as it. Maybe not one player to mention in particular, but there have been so many great players on special teams that have done things. Again, 2 block kicks, a safety. You don't see that too often, John, in a high school football game, and we've seen all of that here with not even 3 quarters have been played yet.
This game has seen it all. One of the best rivalries in Central Illinois is bringing all the heat tonight. Stewart, empty backfield, drops back to throw. He's going deep. He's got A.J. Jones, the freshman. How about that? 1 play, 29 yards, and Washington is firing on all cylinders. This crowd is going wild.
Turn me up, John. Wow, this is going crazy. Washington coming out with some ferocity here in the second half. They are leaving nothing to chance, and they are putting their stamp on this game. Again, we have seen it all right there, and Darryl Crouch keeping his foot on the gas pedal, keeping it accelerated, silencing the Metamora crowd.
Extra point from Coughlin is good. That makes it 30-16, and Gavin, this has got to feel amazing for Washington. You're winning the rivalry game at your home field. Against Metamora, you had only scored 10 points the whole season coming into this game. Now you've scored 30. Again, game's not over, still over 50 minutes to go, but you gotta be feeling really good on Washington's sideline.
Yeah, you do, and they must have real short-term memory after a really rough first couple of weeks. I mean, I don't think, you got to think too much about it other than the fact that we just got to be better and got to put that behind us. But again, this is a really tough game to come in with little to no momentum from those first couple of weeks, and they're just feeding off the energy from the crowd. They're trusting themselves, doing good things, and Washington holding a 2-score lead.
And the Washington Panthers uftering scoring drive. Again, pretty simple. Second time they struck for just 1 play. That one goes 29 yards, and only a handful of seconds come off the clock there as the Panthers hold the first 2-possession lead of the ball game. Metamora, they need to find something quick See what Hartnett and head coach Jerry Grebner and the rest of the Redbirds dial up. Kick is away. It's pretty low. We'll see how Metamora handles it. They handle it well. Out past the 7. And a sort of a slow run out there from Noah Simmons, the wide receiver. It looks like he didn't quite had made up his mind on where he was going to go. Still not the worst field position that Metamora's had tonight, but Washington, they might put the clamps on D right here.
Yeah, I mean, not the worst field position, but again, you're looking for that spark because things have just been really moving in the favor. The needle is firmly pointing in the direction of Washington, so Metamora needs that jolt, and again, they just haven't really been able to find it. Surprised they've not really passed the ball too much, so perhaps they go back to the air on this drive.
Head coach Jared Grebner says running back Cameron Davis gets the energy running, but this is the other running back, Frederick, and he's still on his feet. Frederick down the middle of the field. He's going to go all the way, and Metamora will respond. 6 for Frederick, an 80-yard touchdown scamper for the sophomore. This game has it all, ladies and gentlemen. Metamora comes right back, one play, 80 yards, and their sideline has life again.
My jaw is just absolutely dropped, John. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, as soon as you think Washington has got complete control of this game, not so fast, Metamora says. They come back, they hand it off to the sophomore, and they break off a big play right there. Now the momentum, the needle right back in the middle, and this game feels very much up for grabs at this point.
Redbirds will go for 2 and try and cut this lead to 6. Hartnett in the shotgun, Davis in the backfield. Hartnett with the keeper, and he won't get there. So the Panthers maintained their 8-point lead, but Metamora needed a spark, and they got it with their sophomore running back.
Number 5, Eli Bear with that stop. Score remains Washington 30.
Frederick definitely with a big touchdown run right there. And again, they didn't get the 2-point conversion, but gotta love the big run, and those big plays, you know, are definitely going to give you a lot more energy on your sideline and for the crowd than maybe a methodical drive. Points are points at the end of the day, but scoring quickly, getting some good momentum, love it for the Redbirds. And now they really got to try to put the clams down on defense. We'll see if they can tighten up and force Washington to give them the ball back.
The Metamora up-string scoring drive, another one-play drive, Gavin. We've seen 3 of those tonight. 80 yards on the run from Mark Frederick and took 10 seconds off the clock. Also want to take a quick break to remind you that tonight's broadcast brought to you by Jodi Brown State Farm. For all your insurance needs, give Jodi a call, 309-693-1103, or visit jodibrownagency.com. Metamora ready to kick it away here, and this is the beauty of a kick, fielded at the 4-yard line, and is being brought back. That's A.J. Jones, the freshman receiver who had made a touchdown reception not too long ago, but big play on special teams there, Gavin. The third phase of this game could end up deciding who's going to come out on top tonight.
Yeah, we've still got a few minutes left to be decided here in the third quarter, but whole quarter left to play, and it just feels like every play is so crucial to this game. Every second is going to matter so much, John. The team in white is hyped up right now. The student section, again, packed. There's not an empty seat over there in those bleachers. They are going absolutely wild, and they're giving their guys some big energy. But, again, Washington has found ways to score. They found ways to do some unpredictable things, keeping us on our toes, John. See if what they decide to do on this drive.
Stewart with the pitch out to McQuarrie, and he is being pursued, and he evades a tackle. Out past the 25, and he is hit there by Avery Grebner, but not before picking up a first down. Kaden McQuarrie, again, another big run. He's had a couple runs over 10 yards tonight, Gavin.
Yeah, he's been their primary back. Again, Jace Harlan, a couple of carries, but he's been doing a nice job in the fullback role, getting some nice blocks down. But McQuarrie, very quick, very shifty, can make some nice cuts, and he's proven why all night.
Good sign for Washington. I didn't let that Metamora touchdown get the wind out of their sails. Jace Harlan with the carry there for short yardage, but this is an important drive for Washington, Gavin, because Washington, they might have thought that they were invincible there. Metamora came back with a big touchdown, and now it's about how do you respond. And with a team with a lot of sophomores, a lot of juniors as well, it'll be very, very intriguing to see how the Panthers will do going forward.
Back and forth we go, and again, that's what you expect from a rivalry matchup. It doesn't even matter how good these teams are. You expect a great back and forth matchup between these two.
And met right away, or excuse me, that was McQuarrie, faked me out, and McQuarrie's down the sideline. He's inside the 10, almost to the end zone, brought down at the 5. Faked the handoff to Jace Harlan. He was knocked down right away. Excuse me, that was Jake Stewart, the quarterback, on the carry. A massive play there for Washington, and the fireworks just keep going off. It's big play after big play at Babcook.
Couldn't have said any better right there, and again, right there, Jake Stewart showing off the wheels. I mean, he's played in part of the last couple of years as a wide receiver as well, so he's not limited just to that quarterback role, meaning he definitely has plenty of athleticism to get out, make some big plays, and keeping it himself, getting some big yardage.
Stewart hands it off to his tailback, and he is very close, and it looks like Washington is in. They get a touchdown back. That was Jace Harlan, the big fella. He gets his first score of the game, and Washington now leads 36-22. Great response there for Washington, going on the field in a very quick manner.
Couple of big plays, and you just let your fullback take it all the way in. And again, as soon as you thought Metamora was coming back, here's Washington once again. I mean, we're just getting points left and right here. I mean, all sorts of action in this game. Certainly not a shortage. This is the game you want to be watching, folks.
Point after is good, so Panthers lead by 15. Gavin, going into this game, a lot of people were thinking that it could be a defensive battle, given Metamora's, struggles for consistency on offense, and, Washington only having put up 10 points with a young offense the entire season. But how about this, 37-22, and, who's going to step up on defense now? That's the big question, because both these offenses are scoring seemingly at will.
Yeah, the offenses are really heating up, and I'm not sure what was said in the halftime locker room for both teams, but the offenses have come out very well. I don't know that it's been so much the defenses have been bad. It's just they've really been kind of outmatched so far. So we're going to see if they can make some sort of response here. The defense need to start making those big plays, those crucial cornerstone points to the game. There's a lot of players that can do it, but once again, I think it's going to start in the trenches for both sides.
Good points there, Gavin. As Coughlin gets ready to kick it away from the 40. And this one is a bouncer received at the 21. That is Luke Ufile there, and he has found some space, and he is up near the 40. Good return there for the Redbirds, who haven't got the best field position most times tonight, but they'll have 60 yards to work with here.
Yeah, definitely got to see what Metamora can do here, although, again, it's just been so back and forth. I would like to see, again, which team can continue to take that momentum. Although it's been Washington a lot here in the second half, what is Metamora going to do to continue to respond? They had a couple of big plays, but that's not going to win them the game, especially when you're down a couple scores.
First play of the drive for Hartnett and the Redbirds. They didn't get much time on the sidelines, and Hartnett rolls out. Man open in the flat. He decides to go downfield, and that one is broken up. Great play there. That was number 2 for Washington. Kaden McQuarrie again getting it done on the offensive and defensive end.
He is getting it done both ways, and again, the defensive backs have been big. I definitely like the way that the lines have been playing, but again, the defensive backs, when Metamora has thrown, it's definitely been really a struggle for them to get many passes completed. Definitely something to keep an eye on. Metamora definitely trying to get aggressive in the air. See what Metamora can do as they line up here. Keeping one receiver out. A lot in the backfield. Hartnett going to take the snap. He's going to hand it off here. Big run coming up the gut. Frederick coming up again, and the sophomore has been the biggest running back here in the second half for the Redbirds. Again, just the sophomore, Frederick doing it all.
Frederick, a underclassman that has been a very, very impressive tonight. When Washington has been able to snuff out Cameron Davis, it has been Mark Frederick picking up the slack for the Redbirds and kind of, keeping them in this game, providing a big spark on offense. Whistle blows here. There's some laundry on the field. First time in a while we've seen that, Gavin. Redbirds were played by penalties in the first half, but since cut down on them. Looks like that'll be a procedure penalty on the Redbirds, so back them up 5. It will be 1st and 15 at Washington's 49. Just under a minute to go here in quarter number 3 of the 64th edition of Metamora and Washington High School football. Kaden Hartnett, the Metamora quarterback, motions his receiver Simons. Handoff goes to Davis. He breaks a tackle, and he gets up past the original line of scrimmage. Ball came out there, although he may have been down. McQuarrie is saying it's Washington ball, but may have been a little bit too enthusiastic there, maybe trying to sell the call a bit. The ball will stay with Metamora.
Yeah, it was a decent run there for Cam Davis. He hasn't been too involved here in the second half. But again, making a nice run right there. Nearly a fumble. That was certainly a close play. You don't want to give it up in this point in the game. Time winds down here. Last play of the third quarter. Hartnett's going to drop back to pass. Pump fakes the throw, rolling out. He's going to take it himself, and he'll get a few yards. It'll make it a 3rd and manageable as we head into the final quarter, John.
Explosive third quarter from both teams. Washington scores 3 touchdowns. Metamora gets one back. It's 37-22 Panthers ahead of the fourth quarter here on Clutch Sports IL. That should be the end of the third quarter. Both teams still on the field. We want to take this break to remind you that tonight's broadcast brought to you by 3 State Farm agents, Jodi Brown in Peoria, Illinois, Zach Butler over in Pekin, and Jake Weston right here in Washington. You can give them a phone call, looking at the numbers on their screens, or visit them on their websites, jodibrownagency.com, sfbutler.com, and jakewestern.insurance.com. Tonight's broadcast is also brought to you by Uftring.
6 dealerships, 500 used vehicles, 1 location. It's the Uftring Auto Group 40th Anniversary Multi-Dealer Celebration Sale. For 3 days only, 500 used vehicles are coming home to Washington, where Carrie Uftring started 40 years ago. Through Monday at Uftring in Washington.
Thanks for sticking with us here on Clutch Sports Media. Fourth quarter about to get underway here at Babcook Field in Washington, with the hosts leading at 37-22. Gavin, this game has been all it's been cracked up to be so far. What are you looking for here in the final 12 minutes?
It's going to be a wild final quarter here, John. It's going to be, what can Metamora do here early? Can they get a response score and get right back in this game?
Certainly they have time to do so. They've also struck quickly. And Hartnett keeps it, and he'll have a first down. He stumbles across the 30. Hartnett showing his versatility there. Both quarterbacks, both on Metamora and Washington, showing off their wheels at different times tonight, Gavin.
Stumbled right there. We have an injured Panther on the field, but certainly a big run there for Hartnett. Again, just a little bit of a stumble, but you like those first down runs. You like to get that positive yardage, and 6 seconds into the final frame, we're in pretty good field position here. If you're Metamora, just the lack of consistency, I can definitely see what Coach Grebner is trying to preach to his team about playing 4 full quarters of action. Definitely got to try to work on that as the season goes along.
injured man on the field for Washington. That was their junior D lineman, Garrett Cox. He's walking off the field, so certainly a good sign to see there. Overall, fairly clean game, Gavin, even though this is one of the most heated rivalries that you'll see in Illinois. Both teams have, kept things pretty clean, at least from up here in the press box. Nothing too crazy. Certainly a mark of a good rivalry where you obviously want to beat them, but you also have a lot of respect for them as well.
Oh, yeah. They love to hate each other, but they love a good, clean football game, and they want to win it the right way. No dirty plays or cheap shots here, just some good, solid football.
1st and 10 for the Redbirds. This carry will go to Cam Davis, and he is appended right at the line of scrimmage. That was McQuarrie again, and he's pumped up.
Here, there, and everywhere is McQuarrie. He is all over the field. Offense, defense, you name it. Number 2 is there. Probably going to not want to see any more number 2 in orange after this game if you're a Metamora Redbird.
McQuarrie, a junior this year, didn't play a ton on varsity last year, but he's showing the Panther faithful what he can do, and he'll certainly be a player to watch in the Beta Illini this year. 2nd and 11 for the Redbirds. Hartnett drops back, looking for a man. He doesn't have one, and he stumbles in the backfield. He's brought down. That was number 85, Carter Prina, a sophomore on the D-line. He had his hand in on a blocked punt earlier, and there a big sack there of Kaden Hartnett.
Prina doing a nice job, and just a sophomore. Prina getting his name called quite a bit, and again, that's a player that'll continue to be around for Washington in the next couple of years. Looks like he might have got a little banged up on the play, but he'll shake it off, and he'll be back sooner than later.
Carter Prina and Garrett Cox, 2 starters of Washington's defensive line. They're on the sidelines right now after being shaken up a little bit, so we'll see what the Washington line can do. Gavin, you said that this game could be decided in the trenches. 3rd and 16 here for the Redbirds. Handoff goes to the sophomore running back, Mark Frederick, and he's found success today. Not there. That'll bring up a long 4th down for Grebner and the Redbirds.
Knocking on the door of country mile territory. Maybe not quite. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt here. But this is a long 4th down, and, boy, this is a really tough call. You're on the other side of midfield. Again, a punt doesn't do you a whole lot of good. It's going to pin him in probably quite a bit closer, but I definitely think the right call is what Jared Grebner is doing. They're going to go for it on 4th down.
We'll see what the Redbirds dial up here. Big play as they try to get back in this game. Hartnett looking to pass. He's got a man on the sideline, and it's not quite there. So close for the Redbirds, and they can't believe it. Brayson Barth with the coverage on the tackle there. Looked like Hartnett looking for his receiver, Broderick Shares. He was laying on the field there for a couple of seconds, Gavin. Almost thought he may have been shaken up, but he just couldn't believe they didn't bring in that pass. Certainly a dagger for Metamora.
Yeah, maybe a bit of an underthrown pass, overran it a little bit. Just couldn't quite hook up there in the sweet spot for the pass and catch. Definitely deflating if you're Metamora. Of course, they're not out of it yet. There's 10 whole minutes left to go. Plenty of time, but it's all going to start with a big defensive stand right here. Can they shut down this Panthers offense?
1st and 10, screen pass goes to Nettles, and he only gains a couple before being brought down by Dalton Shuda. And it looks like maybe Drew Hansen, the linebacker and DN, was in there. Player down on the field. That is a Panther. That may have been Nettles right there. He took a big hit.
Yeah, Nettles did take a big hit. Shuda coming in and leaving nothing to chance there. Lowered the shoulder. Hopefully Nettles can shake that one off.
Metamora looking to stop the Panthers, who have had their way a lot on offense here in the second half, Gavin. 3 touchdowns being scored in the second half, one of them being off of a blocked punt. And blocked another punt, and then that set up on the next play a touchdown That put them up by 2 scores. As the trainer's still tending to Nettles, but certainly sooner or later, I think Metamora's going to have to make a stop because they're down by 15 right now as Nettles is back on his feet. Certainly a good sign there, but they're down by 15, Gavin. Even if you give up a field goal, that makes it a 3-possession game with time waning here in the final quarter.
Yeah, this is really not looking good for Metamora. Again, it's going to start with getting a big stop right here. They're going to have to work quickly. They've been pretty slow and methodical. They've had a couple of big plays, but they're definitely going to need to come some big standout plays late in the game.
McQuarrie in motion. Stewart, the quarterback, will keep it, and he's brought down by his legs. Washington faithful thought that Stewart may have broken one deep there, but good wrap up there by the Redbirds defensive unit. That'll bring up a 3rd down, Gavin. It looks like they'll have about 3 yards to go. What do you do here if you're Washington?
I think you just got to give it back up the middle, even if you let Stewart take it himself, maybe perhaps give it to McQuarrie or let your fullback take it. They've got some options, but I think just got to stay on the ground. That's what they've known. Don't leave anything to chance.
Metamora needing to stop. Just under 9 minutes to go here at Babcook Field. Stewart letting the play clock wind down. It's at 5 right now. 2 men in the backfield, and it looks like Darryl Crouch, Washington head coach, will take his first time out there. Panthers look like they were in no hurry to snap the ball.
Yeah, no, they're trying to take as much time off as possible because they know the thing hurting Metamora the most right now is how much time is left on the clock, and any little bit that continues to slide off is going to go against them. Perhaps that was planned right there for them to take that timeout late in the play clock and make sure they can try to get a big gain here on 3rd down.
I want to take a quick break to remind you that tonight's broadcast is brought to you by your local State Farm agents here in Peoria, Jodi Brown, Zach Butler, and Jake Weston. Jodi Brown in Peoria, you can reach them at 309-693-1103. Zach Butler over in Pekin, call him at 309-347-3115. And our friend Jake Weston here in Washington, give him a dial, 309-444-4441. Pretty easy to remember there, but want to thank all of those State Farm agents for their support of Central Illinois high school athletics.
3rd and 3, Washington after the timeout.
3rd and 3 for the Panthers. You heard it on the PA system. Some nervous tension in the crowd here. We'll see what happens. McQuarrie looking on the near side, almost to the sticks. This is going to be very close, Gavin. This will depend on the spot. Initial glance looks like he could be short, but actually, I don't know. This is very close, Gavin. I can't tell from here.
Boy, only if we had instant replay, right, John? Might need to invest in that, but they're going to give him the 1st down. Looked like he may have just gotten a bit of a lunge at the end. Metamora was coming up with some ferocity, trying to hold him short. But just a nice little lunge there at the end is enough for the Panther 1st down.
Big run there for Kaden McQuarrie of Washington. He has proved his worth tonight in his first season as the Panthers starting running back. He replaces Thomas Borges and Jack Lemus, who last year for Washington combined for 1,840 yards and 22 touchdowns. 2 of many Panthers that graduated and left a great legacy here in Washington. His handoff goes to Harlan. He barrels his way up to about the 50. That's just what you want if you're Washington, is runs up the middle, runs some clock, and make things very hard for Metamora to come back.
Of course, if you broke off a big play here and got into the end zone, that wouldn't be the end of the world, but chewing off some clock, they've got a nice, comfortable lead right now. Washington, again, shaking those first couple weeks off so well, as they are looking like the team that many expect them to be at this point in the year, firmly in the driver's seat, but they've got a tough Metamora team. We'll see if they can pull off some late-game heroics.
Washington 0-2, but they lost to Highland, who is receiving votes in the 5A state poll week 1. They lost to number 2 ranked Kankakee last week. So a ringer of a schedule for the Panthers, but a lot of people were doubting them. They're saying they're 0-2. Not many times it happens in Washington, but they're showing tonight that they aren't going anywhere, folks.
No, they're definitely not, but that last play right there, that's what Metamora needed. They needed a big stop. Now it's 3rd and long, and they don't necessarily just have the luxury to grind out a couple yards for a first down. They're going to have to make a fairly big play. I doubt Darryl Crouch would go for it on 4th down. Doesn't want to give Metamora anything easy. Doesn't want to give them any chances. Taking their time, play clock under 10 now, and they're going to use every last second off that play clock.
Play clock at 3 right now. Stewart drops back, looks for McQuarrie in the backfield in the flat, and he'll just toss that one away. He took a hit there. That was Ben Wallace, Metamora offensive lineman. Haven't called his name much tonight, Gavin. You see him there. He's on defense, trying to provide a big presence at 6'5", 300 pounds, and he needed to force a stop, and he did.
Well, Ben Wallace is a guy that, maybe doesn't get talked about quite as much, but gotta give a lot of love to the guys in the trenches on the O-line. Coach Grebner was telling me he doesn't get in there to play D-line too much, but in a crucial spot, a senior leader like Wallace, you want him in there in the big spots, and forcing Washington to punt, that's exactly what you wanted him to do.
That punt for Washington takes a pretty good bounce. This one rolls inside the 20. Mitch Coughlin on the kick. He's had some great punts tonight. That one will be about 39 yards, so pretty solid punt there by the Panthers, pinning Metamora deep. They have just over 6 minutes left to deal with. Who are you looking for the Spark, Gavin? Is it Cam Davis? Is it their sophomore star, Mark Frederick? Is it somebody else? Who are you looking for?
I would say Cam Davis because he'd be kind of the easy choice, but I think Frederick's going to be the better option here. I think Frederick's had all the explosive plays for the most part here in the second half. He's been their biggest player on the ground game. Perhaps Washington didn't do a ton of scouting on him, or he just is able to kind of find some holes and capitalize. Either way, Metamora's got to find something, and very, very quickly.
Hartnett takes the first snap of the drive from the shotgun. Looking for a screen pass there. Looked like he was looking for Davis out of the backfield. And that one falls incomplete. So the air game not being so friendly to the Redbirds in the second half.
Certainly not. They've went to the screen pass a couple times early in the game, had a little bit of success with it. But again, Washington, they're a very smart team, veteran coaching, great leadership. They're a team that can make adjustments really well on the fly, and one of the things they've done well is adjusted to that screen pass. Maybe Metamora tries to open it up, go for a big downfield shot.
3 wideouts, a back, and a tight end for the Redbirds, and that snap is fumbled. Hartnett did fall on it. Well, looks like that ball went to his opposite hand, the one he was not looking for, or not looking to catch that ball with. Costly error there for the Redbirds. Now they are in a very precarious situation.
Don't know that was 100% on the snap. It looked like Hartnett maybe was already kind of moving to the far side a little bit, getting a little bit ahead of himself as perhaps he was going to roll out there. Either way, not very good for Metamora right now as clock continues to run. 5.5 left to go in the fourth quarter. They absolutely need to score on this drive to stay in this ball game.
Metamora has struck quick, and we need to do so again. This handoff goes to Davis. He pulls up to about the 14 or 15 yard line, so it's still fourth down, Gavin. You got a little bit of it back there, certainly what you needed if you're Metamora, but as a huge play here, they're going to have to come through. Otherwise, it just gives Washington a Christmas present with the ball in the red zone.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of the do-or-die play of the game for Metamora. I mean, they have to dial up their best play of the game. They have to go into the deep part of the playbook and find something special right here to get this first down. This is going to take a clutch effort from whoever gets the ball.
Simmons and Ufal, the wide receivers at the top of your screen, shares on the bottom. Hartnett takes the snap. Looking to their left side. He's going to try and go deep. He's going to be brought down at the 4. Looks like that was Noah Bell Lawrenson and Blackburn on the stop there for Washington. Washington takes over inside the 10. They lead by 15. Time is running out, and Washington may have just done all that they needed to do to bring home a win tonight.
They have an absolute gift right now, and if they can punch it in for 6 more, I think that's going to about do it. And some of the Metamora faithful head for the exits. What a performance by the Washington Panthers. They have absolutely gone off tonight and rebounded in an incredible way this week. I don't think anybody would expect this kind of performance from Washington, but we know they're capable, and they're showing it right here.
In a rivalry game, you got to throw the records out. Doesn't matter if Washington's 0-2. They are still as good as they have been before. And another one-play scoring drive. Jake Stewart with the touchdown run, 4 yards out. And there is your dagger. Washington now leads 43-22. Jake Stewart, the quarterback who's orchestrated a perfect symphony tonight, puts Washington up by 3 scores.
Celebration beginning here in Washington, and barring a miracle, this should be a Washington victory even with 4 minutes left to go, just a little over 4 minutes. What a drive, though, and what a game from Washington.
44-22. Gavin, how about the Panthers? They were down 8-0 early on, and it looked like Metamora had all the momentum. And they had a couple big plays, a couple blocked punts in the second and third quarters, and they have not looked back since.
Certainly have not. Big drive, and again, students loving it, fans are loving it. Got to feel good for the Washington Panthers.
We've got a couple of these tonight. These one-play upstring scoring drives. One play, 4 yards and 6 seconds for the Washington Panthers. Jake Stewart with the scramble. Stewart knows a thing or two about beating Metamora. Drained a game-winning 3 with less than 3 seconds left to down the Redbirds. 48-47, I believe, was that final score at Torrey Gymnasium just across the street. Washington won this game last year at a score of 24-14. It looks like they're well on their way to winning 2 of the last 3 and 3 out of the last 4. Coughlin gets set to kick it away for the Panthers. It's had a couple booming kicks tonight. This one a little bit shorter, fielded at the 20. Redbirds need something big here. And the return is stopped immediately by Eden Coate, the sophomore defensive back, making a good tackle on special teams there.
Number 18.
Yeah, this is definitely kind of just the chew it out time. Maybe find a couple plays that work, take it into next week, take a silver lining away if nothing else, John. Again, not a whole lot to hang your hat on. It's a rivalry game, but got to find ways to get better.
1st and 10 for the Redbirds. Wind has been taken out of their sails. We'll see if they have anything left in the tank. That's Cameron Davis for a gain of a few there. Gavin, looking ahead at the upcoming schedules for both of these teams. Metamora, they will host Washington next week and then also host Canton as well. They'll travel to Pekin, then Limestone, and then host the East Peoria Raiders in week number 8.
Yeah, there's some tough games left on the schedule for both of these teams. Middle Illini play is never an easy one, no matter who your opponent is.
Hartnett scrambling here. He may have a couple yards there out across the 35.
Hartnett is flushed out of the pocket and
I'll make it 3rd and a mid-size difference there for the Redbirds.
3rd and 7, Metamora.
Gavin, talking about this game, where do you think that it really just started to switch for Washington? Because there was a huge momentum shift. They just were firing on all cylinders. What do you think that you'll look back as the big turning point in this game?
Yeah, I mean, the turning point is definitely going to come from the special teams. Nice catch, but a big tackle right there, John. But, yeah, the big turning point in this game came from that defense and special teams. You know, Frederick, the sophomore, had a big run, about 30 yards. After that, a penalty and a sack put the Redbirds way back in a country mile territory. 4th down, they tried to go for the Australian-style punt, got blocked. That's just where it all kind of changed. It was one play right after another. Washington continuing to do some good things. Perhaps Metamora made a couple of mistakes on their end, but Washington capitalized extremely well, and from there on, they have not looked back.
Hartnett connected with his receiver Noah Simons on that last play before being blown up after a big hit. And Hartnett is brought down for a loss there. Washington's defense, Gavin, after facing some potent offenses, really just, made them better as a team, getting that real tough exposure to state-ranked teams early in the year.
Yeah, Washington probably felt like they had some stuff going on. You probably felt like, you had some success going. It's just you're playing teams that are, of course, state caliber, and then your first couple weeks, that's never an easy thing to do. Washington, though, showing that they've got plenty of skill, and they'll continue to show that in the remaining 6 weeks.
Getting a score here from Dunlap. Pekin leading 21-19 in the 4th quarter. Madden Burke having an outstanding game for the Eagles, keeping it in there. What would that be like if Dunlap could knock down what is regarded by many as the Mid-Illini favorites in the Pekin Dragons?
Well, although Washington's 0-2, they could be sniffing the door for potentially winning the Mid-Illini Conference, and it's all going to start in this week 1 is likely the 4 top contenders for the Mid-Illini Conference all going at it against each other this week. We knew this would have some implications down the road, but how about the Dunlap Eagles keeping it close on the home turf? But Pekin very good as well. I mean, we'll see if they can hold on. If they want a close battle, go check out 101.1 ESPN Peoria.
Our John Camosa and Cody Roskins on the call there. It's got an update. Pekin fumbled the kickoff. Is Dunlap ball now for the Eagles? They'll have a chance to win it. Over on 101.1 ESPN Peoria, as the 4th down attempt there is unsuccessful for the Redbirds, and Washington will put the finishing touches on this game. That will move the all-time series between Metamora and Washington, at least in football, to 35-29 in Washington's favor. In the last decade or so, it has been advantage Panthers, and they inch closer to tying up the Redbirds in the all-time series.
Yeah, it's definitely been all Panthers in recent years, and of course these teams only match up once. We know other sports, basketball and things, match up a couple times, but these teams get one chance a year to play on the gridiron against one another, and looks like they're going to perhaps just run out a few times, maybe go into victory formation if they can grab a first down. Either way, a really nice win for the Washington Panthers. A lot to break down, but you just got to start with that defense and special teams, John. That's really where it all started in the second half, making the big plays.
Special teams, the 3rd phase of the game. You can never forget about it. Washington certainly did not. 2 blocked punts, one of them that led immediately to a touchdown. That was Carter Prina getting the score, and then another blocked punt on the very next punt from Metamora. One play later, the Panthers struck, and it was all Washington from then on. 2nd and 8 for Washington. Imagine this will be the second to last play of the game. Just a simple give up the middle to Jace Harlan. Did a great job of paving the way for Cannon McQuarrie in Washington's backfield. Harlan a couple nice carries himself, and really a defensive presence that was all over the field tonight at the linebacker position.
Oh yeah, all over the field, and McQuarrie definitely one of their top players. I would say definitely going to be firmly in the conversation for player of the game, but I still want to nominate the entire Washington special teams for player of the game because collectively they did so much damage in this game. But again, individually McQuarrie had an excellent game offensively and defensively. The trenches showed up when they needed to. Overall, really solid football game, really from both sides, but especially Washington.
Last play of the game, just a sneak up the middle, and time will wind down and out. Washington, a huge win at Babcook Field, their first of the season against their rivals. That has got to feel really, really good for the Panthers. A lot of people doubted them. They showed tonight that they are still in contention in the Mid-Illini. It's early in the season, but these Panthers are here to stay, folks, even with all of these young faces on their roster.
If this is any sign of what they can really do in a year or two, Washington's going to be back to the top tier level again. They're playing like they can. We know they can. It's just a matter of getting that consistency down with the younger players. Metamora, they've got some of that experience, but they've got some newer faces as well, as they'll aim to find some of that consistency. But you better believe Metamora will be back next week. They are certainly going to take this one personally, and they will be out for some more W's this year.
Washington with the win moves to 1-2 on the year. After this week, they will travel to Pekin. That will be certainly a great matchup. And they'll host Limestone and have East Peoria, Dunlap, and Canton. Certainly a couple of opportunities to get a win, but a couple opportunities for someone to surprise Gavin. The Mid-Illini could end up being real crazy this year.
Oh, yeah, there's all sorts of stuff going on in the Mid-Illini Conference. East Peoria's winning games. Dunlap's in the conversation. Of course, Pekin is as well. And here come the Washington Panthers running out, and they are back in the win column first of the year, and they will celebrate with the fans tonight. Metamora, though, they'll stay in the conversation too. Don't count the Redbirds out yet.
I give a quick reminder and a thank you to our broadcast sponsors tonight: Jodi Brown, State Farm in Peoria, Zach Butler, State Farm in Pekin, and Jake Weston in Washington. Give Jodi a call at 309-693-1103 or at jodibrown.agency.com, or Zach Butler if you're in Pekin, 309-347-3115, or at sfbutler.com. Jake Weston if you're in Washington, 309-444-4441. It's Jake from State Farm, and he's also at jakewestoninsurance.com. Nice broadcast. It was also brought to you by Uftring.
6 dealerships, 500 used vehicles, 1 location. It's the Uftring Auto Group 40th Anniversary Multi-Dealer Celebration Sale. For 3 days only, 500 used vehicles are coming home to Washington, where Carrie Uftring started 40 years ago. Through Monday at Uftring in Washington.
I want to thank Uftring, State Farm, and all of our wonderful sponsors. I want to thank you, the viewers, for tuning in what was a fantastic rivalry matchup, Gavin. This game truly had everything. I mean, blocked punts, had a safety, big plays, one-play scoring drives. I mean, this is one of those games that just sends you home saying, man, I just love football so much.
Oh, yeah, no kidding, John. And I feel like in the first few weeks of football season here in 2022 for Clutch Sports Media, we have seen so many different things that are unexpected. You really don't see too often, but it's always something different. That's what's great about high school football, especially in Central Illinois. When you've got atmospheres like this, when you've got teams and communities that care this much, that's what makes it fun. Makes it fun for us, makes it fun for the viewers, makes it fun for everybody involved. We just love it so much. Awesome to be part of it in Week 3. What a great game.
Certainly want to give a shout-out to all of our crew here at Clutch Sports Media tonight. Rigo Perez, our producer behind the controls, Thatcher Zaleski and Ethan Carboni on camera, Francisco Alonso getting some outstanding pictures and social media updates down on the sideline. A lot of people in the stands tonight, Gavin. Slowed down the Wi-Fi signal, but we'll have those highlights and pictures, updates. They'll all be posted to our social media channels, Clutch Sports Media on Instagram and Clutch Sports IL on Twitter. And Joe, you're right. We'll give him a shout-out for making these graphics tonight. Along for Gavin Russell, I am Jonathan Michaels saying so long from Washington. Metamora falls to the Panthers 44-22, and a big win for Washington. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next week, folks. Have a great night.